Hello, and welcome to this dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Akilah, educator with the Detroit Zoological Society. And as you can see, we are going to be doing some math in the garden. Well, not quite math, more so some observations, and we're going to talk about fall planting. So I'm not sure if you know what these guys are behind me. If you do, go ahead and take your best guess. So what are these flowers that are behind me? As you can see, I'm not outside. I know it's a rainy day, so I am inside, but I wanted to show you this really cool picture of some things we're going to be talking about today. So type in the comment box if you know what it is. And these are actually tulips. More specifically, these are red emperor tulips. And that's something that we're going to be talking about today, talking about fall planting. Like, who thought that they could plant in the fall and start seeing some really nice things sprout in the early spring, late spring, or summer? So let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, so some concepts, skills and concepts we're going to be covering today are fine motor skills with the activity that you'll get a chance to do if you have some of the supplies, or you can purchase some of the supplies. Spatial reasoning, problem solving, critical thinking, observation, and collecting data. Collecting data is something that we're adding to this week. I know in the past we've talked about how you're doing math and how you're using spatial reasoning when you're out in your garden. So today we're going to be actually talking about how you can collect some of this data and how you can become a citizen scientist. So vocabulary we're going to add to or reintroduce are going to be fall bulbs, Journey North, which is a project, which is a citizen science project, and citizen science. So you're thinking to yourself, what is citizen science? Citizen science is something that you can actually get involved in from the comfort of your own home, as long as you have the resources and the materials that you need in order to join in. So scientists all around the world are gathering information from everyday folks like ourselves. So you don't have to have a lab coat on, or you don't have to have a microscope. They're just some general supplies that you usually need. And you don't have to work in a laboratory in order to be a scientist. As long as you have these supplies, you can participate in citizen science. All right, so we're going to talk about 4 fall bulbs today. We have daffodils we're going to talk about, dwarf iris, hyacinth, and tulip, but specifically, like I said before, we're going to be talking about the red emperor tulip and how you can join in on the Journey North project. All right, some items that you'll need. You'll need an outdoor garden space, bulbs, specifically those red emperor tulip bulbs, chicken wire, a small shovel so you can do some digging. A large bowl is going to be optional, so you can move that dirt around. A data collection sheet. No worries, I will show you what mine looks like, and you can change yours the way you like. And a pencil. All right, so my friend and colleague here, Miss Claire Lenoy Hall, she is going to show us a video of how you can prepare for these tulip bulbs in the fall. So usually for fall planting, you want to make sure that you're planting these bulbs usually about 15 to 16 weeks so they can have a nice frost where it gets cold outside. In Michigan weather, you're thinking, I did not know that I can plant sometime right before winter, before the ground gets really cold or frost is over, to have some things in the spring that I can enjoy. So she's going to show you a project that we shared with one of our groups that came to us and how they got involved in the citizen science. So some materials you see that she may say that we sent out to you guys, and of course we didn't send this out, but these are some supplies that you can use and that you can purchase for this project. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Claire.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Hall. I'm going to give you some tips on planting your tulips as part of your Journey North program. You're going to need a shovel, maybe a bowl, the chicken wire that the Detroit Zoo staff sent with you, and your tulip bulbs. Yours came in a small paper bag. Ours came out of a box. Your first step is going to be able to dig a hole. It needs to be about 3 to 4 inches deep and big enough to put all of your tulip bulbs in, so they each have about a finger length in distance apart from each other. I'm going to start digging.
All right, so she was sharing with you all the materials that you need, and she called it the chicken wire. So make sure you get that, and she's going to explain to you what is going to be the importance of having that chicken wire in this video.
All right, so here's our hole, ready to go. We put all of our dirt here in this bowl, so it'll be easy to pour back in on top of the tulips once we put them in the ground. Each tulip has a round bottom and a pointy top. You want to put it so the pointy top is up. And you're going to space them apart about 1 finger width. you're going to put all of your tulips in the same hole. We're only going to plant a few today. So there's my tulips. This is a really important step. You're going to take the chicken wire and put it over your tulips. Don't worry, the tulips can get through it once they're ready to start coming up. Squirrels love tulips, but they can't dig through the chicken wire. That's why it's so important. Otherwise, you're going to lose all of your tulips to squirrels. All right. So you got your chicken wire down. You're going to take your dirt, pour it back on top, and smooth it over. If you have wood chips, you can put the wood chips back on top too. No worries, the tulips will come up through all of it.
All right, so that was the video where she's showing you exactly how to plant them and exactly what those bulbs are going to look like. So a lot of times you can purchase your tulip bulbs, the red import tulip bulbs, from a nursery, and they more than likely will have them in a bag. And sometimes they come in usually about a bag of 25 to 50, depending on exactly how many you would like to see sprout. And they're going to be bulbs that look like a little bit like garlic to me, but they're going to sprout nice and pretty in the spring. All right, so let's talk about making some of those observations and preparing for the citizen science aspect of it. So when you're making those observations, you're not going to see anything sprout in the wintertime. So I'm going to give you an idea of how you can estimate when to start looking for these things and when to start making these observations. So we're going to talk about tulips emerging. This is what that looks like. So they sprout out a little bit and sprouting about 10 centimeters tall. So these are some observations you're definitely going to want to make when you are when you're spotting them out in your garden and you're making those observations and you're documenting that stuff on Journey North. And 10 centimeters is about 4 inches. So I have a little general size stick of chapstick here, if you can see that. And if you can think about a chapstick and another half of a chapstick is going to be about 10 centimeters long, all right? When those red bulbs become visible, so it looks a little bit like that. So it's going to be when you first start seeing the red that's going to come out in these really pretty tulips that are right behind you. And of course, the first bloom is always very exciting. So even if you just see the very first one shoot up and it looks nice and the rest of them haven't bloomed yet, that is going to be a great observation you're going to want to make and you're going to want to document, all right? And of course, you want to document when the petals are starting to fall off. So even if they fall off after about 2 weeks or so, you want to make sure that you are documenting this. It's going to be really important that you document this stuff and you make those observations in the Journey North project, because it gives scientists, like I said, an idea of when these flowers are sprouting, and it gives them also an opportunity to also look at climate change. This is how they are actually measuring this. Part of the ways they're measuring this, not just the only way, but looking exactly to see what is happening with some of the planting and what's happening with some of the sprouting of some of these really amazing plants like tulip bulbs and the effect that it's having on it. So sometimes scientists have saying that our winters are a lot longer and our springs are a lot shorter. So this is one way they can continue to measure all of these observations with your help from the comfort of your own home by having these materials. So this is a data collection sheet. And of course, we're not in 2021 yet, but I want to give you an idea of what it looks like. So April 1st, 2021, I said the tulips were emerging. The 6th, I said they began to sprout, and I also documented it also rained all day. So those are my additional notes. On the 14th, which was about a weekish later, I said the bulbs were finally visible. So that is almost about 2 weeks from the first time that I saw them sprout, from the first time that I saw that they were emerging to when I finally saw the red bulb was finally starting to sprout. And then when I also documented a few days later in the future, of course, the future Akilah, saying that I saw the first full bloom. So one of these who's behind me had a full nice bloom. And then I said half of them were bloomed, meaning that half of the ones that I planted looked like they were finally blooming. All right. And of course, on here, you're not seeing exactly when the petals are starting to fall off, but I at least want to give you a snapshot of what that looks like. All right. So I've been talking a lot about Journey North. So this is what their website looks like. And this is what a bag of tulip bulbs look like. All right. So reporting those observations. So you want to make sure that you go to Journey North And you want to make sure that you're picking the correct project, which is going to be the tulip test garden. And it's going to have all this information here on the very first page about the reason why they are using tulips to track the seasons and the the importance of it for citizen science, and having the opportunity to report your observations. All right. So make sure you check that page out, and it's going to be journeynorth.org, and you can pull up, like I said, the tulip test garden. You can also see where other people have done some planting over time, and I can show you that on the mapping. So it gives you an idea of when you can start making some of these observations. So I'm going to go to 2019, the year before, and it's going to give us some sproutings here. So if we can zoom in using our mouse, and I'm going to zoom in to the Michigan area here. So we had some friends in Midland that had a sighting. There was a sighting here. And near Ann Arbor, there was a sighting as well. So folks are able to document what is going on and what they're actually seeing. And you actually also have an opportunity to upload some photos. So definitely check that out, because you can see around the time when folks will start seeing those things sprout, and you can play with the time frame that's down here for the previous year. And it gives you an idea of when you can usually start seeing those first sprouts, which is going to usually be around late March, maybe early April. But definitely start checking in March, because you never know with our weather here what you're going to be able to see. All right, so what's going to be next is your question, I'm sure. So you want to research and explore the bulbs that you would like to bloom in the spring. Specifically for Journey North, you need to make sure that you have the red emperor tulip. You want to always make sure that you're checking your soil to make sure it's going to be a good soil for you to plant bulbs in. So you can have those bulbs bloom in the spring. So we talked about the iris is going to be a good one, daffodils, and the tulips. You want to make sure that you're preparing your space. You want to make sure that you have a nice space that you know that maybe if you have pets that they won't be able to get to. You want to make sure that you have all those supplies that you need for bulbs. Take notes and log in Journey North, and that is going to be for the red emperor tulip only. And also always visit the Detroit Zoo for your next dose of virtual vitamin D. So just to recap, today we talked about fine motor skills. So you're using those hands and using that dexterity to do some planting in your garden. Spatial reasoning, how Miss Hall was talking about how you need about a finger width apart when you're planting your bulbs. And then some problem solving. You got to move some things around, some critical thinking, observation, of course, and collecting that data. It's not going to be right when you plant, but you're going to be collecting that data a few months down the road. So don't forget about those tulips, and you will be really happy about what you see in the spring. So I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for this dose of virtual vitamin D. Make sure you always log on to DetroitZoo.org for more virtual vitamin Z. Take care, and we'll see you soon.